Now, you guys might remember that it was about a week or so ago that we discussed the fact that Warner Brothers suspended the development deals of a lot of production companies that were working with the company. Now, under the terms that were kind of revealed in the article on Variety, it was that like these studios, after I think it said 100 days, after 100 days, have the right to suspend contracts because work isn't happening in the business. They actually went beyond the 100 days and then suspended them. Well, while we talked about that, we said Warner Brothers isn't going to be the only company that does this. And sure enough, NBC Universal has now started to suspend the contracts of high-profile people like Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson, like Lorne Michaels, and others. This comes to us from Yahoo Entertainment, who write the following. NBC Universal abruptly ended its studio deals with high-profile producers on Monday, including Saturday Night Live creator Lorne Michaels and Dwayne Johnson's Seven Buck Productions, who brought Young Rock to the network. The move came the same day as similar cuts at CBS, where talk show host Dr. Phil's deal was also put on hold. In addition to Saturday Night Live, Michaels produces the Pete Davidson Peacock sitcom Bupkis through his company Broadway Video. He moved shop to NBC Universal in 2018 after 30 years at Paramount Pictures. Then also, one is really interesting. Mike Schur, whose many NBC projects, including some of the best ever, The Office, The Good Place, and Parks and Rec, is also reported to have had his pact with the network put on hold. So basically, it's important to make a distinction here between suspended and canceled. These are not deals that have been canceled, although canceling is a button that's available to the producers. And we talked in the Warner Brothers situation that we think Warner Brothers is probably going to use that as a scenario where they can renegotiate terms on these deals. Because they're kind of in the driver's seat now in this really sucky situation where it's like, okay, we can and do have the right to cancel these deals. We don't want to cancel them, but we'd like to revisit some of these terms. I have to wonder if all the studios will try to take advantage of that, or maybe even if some of these production companies might try to take advantage of that. Like one of these companies that's working at NBC Universal say, you know what? We think the deal that we signed originally could be better. Hey, NBC Universal, let's talk about this right now. Since, you're suspending the deals, we think you can make things a little bit sweeter for us here. I don't know that's going to happen. I'm just saying it's going to be an option that's on the table from both the studio side and probably the production company side. Again, Chris, this is something that is not unexpected. We saw kind of the first sign of this, the canary in the cave mine, if you will, with the Warner Brothers situation. Yeah. We knew it was going to start happening with other places, and we knew it was going to involve some other high-profile people, including people like The Rock and stuff like that. We want to take a moment and thank the sponsor of this video, MasterClass. Guys, as a small business owner, I am finding myself having to be in negotiations all the time, whether it's with new contractors, vendors, or even agencies that represent our company. Now, I don't like to go into these negotiations unarmed, so I found the perfect class on MasterClass, The Art of Negotiation by Chris Voss, a real-life former FBI lead hostage negotiator. Taking this class on MasterClass made me feel a lot more equipped and confident going into all these various negotiations I have to do on a regular basis. With MasterClass, you can learn from the best to become your best anytime, anywhere, and at your own pace. An annual membership starts at just $10 a month, and you get unlimited access to every instructor, thousands of online lessons, exclusive content, insight, and much more. There are over 180 classes to pick from, everything from filmmaking with Martin Scorsese all the way to cooking with the great Gordon Ramsay. In MasterClass, you will find practical lessons that you can apply to your life and work. So guys, get unlimited access to every class, and right now, as a John Campea Show listener, you can get 15% off when you go to masterclass.com/Campea. That's masterclass.com/Campea for 15% off an annual membership. masterclass.com/Campea. But what is the significance of this? Because to me, it's just a very visible thing of the impact that's happening on the industry as a whole when you get high profile people like this having development deals suspended. I'm sure some of them are going to get canceled at some point, but how do you look at this whole situation?
I mean, like you were saying, we predicted this last week. We were talking about how there had already been rumors about not only things being suspended at Universal, but layoffs around the corner too. And that obviously is going to be happening. What I think is really interesting is looking at what hasn't been suspended yet, honestly, because, Dwayne "The Rock" Johnson is an incredible entertainer who has a great, I was going to say has a great track record, but some things haven't
Most
been
of his
performed.
track record's pretty
Most
good.
of it's pretty good.
Most of it. Yeah,
It
not
was
all
a
of
rough
it.
year. But Dick Wolf, obviously the creator of Law and Order.
Yeah.
No suspensions there. Seth MacFarlane and Alex Kurtzman are continuing to provide services too, because animation is this weird kind of nebulous area right now too, where some projects are still moving forward because they're not struck work entirely, which is a minefield right now because I'll get an audition and be like, am I allowed to do this? But they're keeping people who I think have had very, very strong relationships with them and very, very successful track records. I mean, Dick Wolf, there really hasn't been a ding there.
No.
Law and Order has
and
been
that's a relationship they've had for decades.
Decades
with that.
long,
They're
yeah.
never going to interrupt
No.
that relationship.
And I mean, that deal got upped, I think, in April, if I'm not mistaken.
For those of you not familiar with the Dick Wolf name, I mean,
Dun dun.
dun, dun, dun,
Dun,
Law and
dun, dun,
Order
dun,
and
dun.
that whole franchise
like
of things that came
text
out that is a
notification
long-standing, decades-old, successful relationship that hell or high water, they're not going to do anything to upset that boat.
Yeah.
You're right.
And for a long time, too, NBC was really focusing on pausing television. That's now started to expand to film and everything as well, just because this has gone on much longer than I think anyone's anticipated. But I do think we're going to see so many more of these suspension of deals. I think if this goes on for any longer, we're going to see some cancellations. And again, we're going to see a lot of layoffs, which is very, very unfortunate because it doesn't just affect the writers, the actors, and the executives. Obviously, IATSE is involved now. It affects all of the different tradespeople involved. It affects so many people in these different markets, too, who their livelihoods are dependent on film and television being made, caterers, all kinds of people. So I just want everyone to get along.
You know, I was reminded the other day of a conversation we had because you were pointing out a few weeks ago about the fact that the last writer's strike was really the birth of the reality television movement because you didn't need writers, even though there was writing going on. But, you know, on the surface, you didn't need writers. And I remember I thought about you saying that as I was watching football this weekend. Because when I was watching the Fox game, the games that were happening on Fox, every commercial break was some new fandangled game/reality show, like 5 new ones I had never even heard of. And that's all they were advertising. I'm like, here it comes. All this content that they don't need writers for. It's like, I don't want this to be the future of television. Please somebody make this
No,
stop.
we're going to see a huge uptick in all of that. And I know for a while people too were thinking it would also turn over some, foreign projects, and that could be really cool to have that expansion happening. And
Well, the NCIS
thing that we talked
situation.
about too,
Yeah.
right? But I really think it is going to be mostly reality television, mostly game shows, because I don't think any of you guys follow it, but like the Vanderpump situation that blew up, I think also got a lot of traction because people wanted drama and they wanted something to focus on. And television's wrapping up, films are wrapping up. Let's focus on this. And I think we're going to see so much more of that. So much more Love is
trash
Blind.
TV. I hate trash TV so much. Like I'll walk into the living room and Ann was watching something called Selling Sunset. I'm like,
Oh, yeah.
oh, what's this about? It's about people with no problems selling multi-million-dollar homes. I hate that. You know what? I even lost a little bit of my fandom this weekend. I lost a little bit of my fandom for Timothy Chalamet. You know, I love Timothy Chalamet.
Oh, because he's with Kylie?
He's dating a freaking Kardashian.
Oh, they're enterprising businesswomen. The heart wants what the
Timothy?
heart wants. All right.
Timothy, I expected better.
Oh,
I expected better.
Oh my gosh.
Be George Clooney. Go find some woman that's changing the world. What's her name?
Amal?
Aman?
Amal.
Amal.
she's
Go
a human
find
rights
your
lawyer?
Amal. Come on.
George Clooney didn't settle down with her till he was like 65.
I'm under NDA. I can't comment on this.
For those of you who don't know, before coming to work for the John Campea Show, wait, am I even allowed to say this?
No, you can.
Oh,
was gonna say you have.
I
Jonathan
just can't. I can't give up any.
was
Thanks for
working
that.
daily at Kardashian's house.
yeah,
So-
well, that's not happening anymore. No.
Don't let the opinions expressed by John Campea are those of his alone.
Yes, yes.
But anyway, I hate trash TV. Hey guys, thanks so much for watching this video. Make sure you like the video, leave a comment, and subscribe to our channel. And don't forget, we have a daily podcast called the John Campea Show Podcast, available on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, or your favorite podcasting app of choice. Go and subscribe to it today so it'll be there when you need it.